Late 19th century. Europe trembles beneath the weight of industrial revolutions, scientific progress, and a silent crisis of meaning. Old beliefs collapse, new machines rise, and amid the noise of factories and philosophies, the soul begins to starve. Then, she appears. A figure wrapped in whispers and contradictions, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, a woman who claimed to have crossed into the hidden sanctuaries of Tibet, to have accessed knowledge older than history, and to have spoken with invisible masters beyond the veil of ordinary reality. In 1875, guided by these forces, she founded the Theosophical Society, a movement that would shake the foundations of Western thought. But she was not its origin. She was its vessel. For Theosophy is not a modern invention. It is a memory, a rediscovery of sacred truths buried under centuries of materialism and spiritual forgetfulness. Rooted in Eastern wisdom, Hinduism, Buddhism, and esoteric currents known only to initiates, Theosophy offered more than ideas. It offered a path. And in this video, we will not only trace the mysterious birth of Theosophy, we will explore how its ancient principles, karma, reincarnation, universal consciousness, can be applied in today's world to bring clarity, depth, and purpose to your life. Because this isn't just history, this is a tool for inner transformation, and a map to something many have forgotten, the truth of who and what we truly are. To understand Theosophy, we must return to a moment of fracture. A time when the world was advancing in every visible way, and yet something vital was being lost. The late 1800s were a paradox. Electricity illuminated cities, railroads stitched nations together, and Darwin's theories redefined humanity's place in the cosmos. Science was triumphant, but for many the soul had gone silent. Traditional religion no longer satisfied the deeper hunger for meaning. Materialism reigned, and mystery was exiled. It was in this atmosphere that a storm of the invisible began to gather. At its center, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, a Russian noblewoman, a traveler, a mystic, and, to her critics, a fraud. But to her followers, a gatekeeper of ancient knowledge. Blavatsky claimed to have studied in Tibet under the guidance of Mahatmas, immortal adepts said to dwell in remote regions of the earth, guardians of primordial wisdom. She spoke fluent Sanskrit, referenced Eastern scriptures before they were widely translated, and published writings that would electrify the spiritual underground. In 1875, alongside Henry Steele Olcott and William Quan Judge, she founded the Theosophical Society in New York City. Its mission? Threefold: to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood, to encourage the comparative study of religion, science, and philosophy, to investigate the hidden laws of nature and the latent powers in humanity. But behind these formal goals lay something deeper, a quiet revolution of the spirit, an attempt to reconcile science with mysticism, reason with revelation. Blavatsky didn't invent Theosophy, she revived it. The term itself, Theosophia, dates back to the ancient world. It means divine wisdom, the kind not taught in universities but whispered in temples and experienced in the silence of the soul. And though the Theosophical Society emerged in the West, its roots reached far into the East. Blavatsky was deeply influenced by Vedanta, Sankhya, and Buddhist metaphysics. She wove together the wisdom of the Upanishads, the teachings of the Buddha, and the hermetic currents of Western esotericism into a system that was both ancient and startlingly modern. To many, it felt like awakening from a long mechanical sleep. But this was only the beginning, because Theosophy wasn't meant to remain in the past. Its real power lies in how it transforms the present. At the heart of Theosophy is the idea of universal consciousness, that all life, from a blade of grass to the farthest star, is interconnected through a divine intelligence, not a personal God above, but a living presence within all. This consciousness evolves. It expresses itself through cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, a process known as reincarnation. We are not random. We are travelers. Souls on an ancient journey through lifetimes, each existence a lesson, each moment a mirror. And guiding that journey is the law of karma, not punishment, not fate, not some cosmic retribution, but a law of learning. A sacred rhythm of cause and effect, grounded not in guilt, but in growth. Karma means you are never stuck. The actions you take today, the thoughts you nurture, the intentions you hold, the words you speak, are seeds. They don't vanish. They unfold, gently or dramatically, into the circumstances of tomorrow. But here's the hope hidden in karma. You can change the direction of your life at any moment. No matter your past, you are never condemned, only invited to evolve. In today's world, this has immense meaning. Imagine someone who's lived years in bitterness or regret. Theosophy teaches those energies are real, yes, but they're not final. With conscious intention, that person can begin choosing kindness over resentment, generosity over fear, truth over self-deception. And that shift will ripple outward, not just inwardly in emotional peace, but in the fabric of reality itself. A small act of compassion today might seem insignificant, but in the karmic view, it could be the force that lifts another soul, or that opens an unexpected door in your own future. Even suffering gains new meaning. Theosophy doesn't romanticize pain, but it sees it as a signal, a moment where the soul is being refined, where some past imbalance is being righted, and where your current choices can shape new outcomes. Karma says, you are not a victim, you are a co-creator. And this idea, far from being abstract, can help people heal depression, overcome shame, and begin again with purpose. But to truly understand Theosophy, we must go further. According to its teachings, the human being is not a single entity. We are composed of 7 principles, 7 layers of consciousness, each vibrating at a different frequency. These range from the physical body to the divine spark within. Sthula Sharira, the physical form; Prana, the life force; Linga Sharira, the astral body; Kamma, desire and emotion; Manas, the mind; Buddhi, spiritual intuition; Atma, the divine self. To live fully is to awaken each layer, to purify, integrate, and align them, so that the light of the higher can shine through the lower. This model of the self is not merely abstract, it's practical. In modern terms, it speaks to physical health, emotional intelligence, mental clarity, and spiritual direction. In today's fragmented world where people feel disconnected from themselves, others, and meaning, Theosophy offers a structure for wholeness, a system to understand our inner architecture and work toward a deeper, more conscious existence. But Theosophy doesn't stop at metaphysics. It dares to open the gates to the occult, not the sensationalism of superstition, but the hidden sciences, astrology, numerology, clairvoyance, sacred symbols, tools for navigating higher realities. In a society ruled by data and pixels, these ancient disciplines remind us that not everything real can be measured, and that truth is often concealed behind symbols, dreams, and silence. These core concepts, reincarnation, karma, the sevenfold nature of the self, and the hidden laws of the cosmos, form the living foundation of Theosophy. And they are not just to be studied. They are to be lived. Ideas, when powerful enough, do not remain in books. They ripple through consciousness. They shape movements, inspire creators, and alter the way people see the world. Theosophy is one of those rare ideas. Though born in private salons and obscure esoteric circles, its influence quickly seeped into the cultural bloodstream of the 20th century, particularly in the arts. Painters like Wassily Kandinsky and Hilma af Klint, often called the precursors of abstract art, were directly inspired by theosophical ideas. They believed that art was not merely decorative, but a spiritual act, a means to reveal the invisible dimensions of being. Kandinsky wrote of painting as a symphony of the soul. Hilma of Klint channeled what she described as higher intelligences to create vast, geometric works far ahead of their time. They weren't trying to paint objects. They were painting realities beyond form, a theosophical vision made visible. Music, literature, architecture all bore the fingerprints of theosophy. Scriabin, the Russian composer, wrote music to awaken spiritual faculties. W.B. Yeats, Nobel Prize-winning poet, wove theosophical symbolism into his verses. And in California, architects began designing homes based on sacred geometry, reflecting humanity's inner structure. Theosophy whispered, "There is more than what the eye sees. Make your life an instrument of the unseen." But its influence didn't stop at culture. Theosophy became the spiritual seedbed for what would later be called the New Age movement. Many popular ideas today, like chakras, auras, past life regression, and energy healing, entered the West through theosophical translations and teachings. Even the idea of conscious evolution, that humanity is progressing not just technologically but spiritually, was championed by Theosophy long before it became a modern buzzword. Today, as people seek alternatives to dogmatic religion or sterile materialism, they are, knowingly or unknowingly, drinking from the wells that Theosophy dug. It offered a third way. Not faith without reason, not science without soul, but a synthesis where the mystical and the rational could meet in harmony. Theosophy's influence is not only inward, it is also social. In an age of environmental collapse, inequality, and polarization, its core teaching of universal brotherhood becomes not a slogan, but a necessity. If all life is one, if every being shares the same spiritual source, then compassion, justice, and stewardship of the earth are not moral preferences. They are spiritual imperatives. Theosophy reminds us, the planet is not a resource. It is a living temple, and the person you call other may have been your brother or teacher in another life. This worldview calls for deep ecology, interfaith dialogue, and social responsibility, not as political stances but as acts of spiritual alignment. Theosophy's greatest impact may be this: it returned the sacred to the center of existence, not in superstition but in vision, not through belief but through experience. It offered a lens through which everything, art, science, relationship, even crisis, could be seen as part of the soul's unfolding journey. And in a time where many feel fractured, forgotten, lost in noise, that lens can still reveal light. But what of today? Does the Theosophical Society still exist? And more importantly, does its fire still burn? There comes a moment in every seeker's life, a quiet pause between question, where the soul whispers, there must be more than this. More than the news cycle, more than the endless scroll, more than the masks we wear to survive the noise. This is the moment when Theosophy begins, not with conversion, not with belief, but with a subtle, burning curiosity and a willingness to look within. How can a modern person approach Theosophy? Theosophy today is not hidden behind temple walls or secret societies. It's alive in thousands of books, meditative spaces, and communities across the globe. But most of all, it begins with you. 1. Start with silence. In a world of constant stimulation, the most radical act is to sit in stillness. Theosophy teaches that wisdom isn't found in noise. It rises in silence as if the soul were remembering what it already knows. Try this. 5 minutes each morning, no music, no phone, just breathe. Not to escape life, but to enter it more deeply. 2. Study not to collect facts, but to awaken intuition. Theosophical teachings are vast: karma, reincarnation, sacred geometry, planes of existence. But the true goal is not to memorize them. It is to activate something within you. A recognition, a resonance, like finding a map to a land you've already dreamed of. Start with The Voice of the Silence or The Key to Theosophy by Blavatsky. Read slowly. Let the words echo inside you. Not everything must be understood with the mind. Some truths are felt. 3. Observe your life as a spiritual classroom. Theosophy isn't about escaping the world, it's about seeing the divine pattern within it. That annoying coworker, a mirror, that illness, a message, that moment of beauty in the middle of despair. A sign. Begin to ask, what is life trying to teach me through this? In this way, every day becomes sacred, every experience a symbol. 4. Seek community but walk your own path. Theosophy honors personal responsibility and inner authority. It encourages dialogue, not dogma. Many theosophical societies today offer online meetings, open libraries, study groups. You don't need to follow blindly. Just come with questions. The most important answers will not come from others. They will rise in your own consciousness. In a culture of instant gratification, Theosophy offers a path of slow awakening, not flashy, not marketable, but real. It doesn't promise success. It invites self-transformation. And through that inner change, a ripple moves outward, touching your family, your work, your world. Because the true spiritual revolution doesn't begin in politics or religion. It begins in a single individual who dares to live consciously, to think deeply, and to love beyond the self. The Theosophical Society still exists today with branches in over 50 countries. It holds lectures, publishes journals, and maintains open spaces for study and reflection. But more importantly, Theosophy lives in anyone who seeks inner truth with humility and courage. You don't need to join anything. You don't need to abandon your current path. You only need to begin paying attention to your thoughts, your actions, your intuition, and the silence beneath it all. This is the legacy of Theosophy. Not a rigid doctrine, but a living flame, passed from hand to hand, heart to heart, generation after generation, awaiting the moment when you are ready to receive it. And now, perhaps that moment has come. By now, you've seen that Theosophy is not just a relic of the past. It is a living thread, woven through the fabric of human seeking. It does not offer easy answers. It invites deep questions. It doesn't ask for belief. It asks for experience. So what don't you begin? Somewhere deep in your being, you already know what Theosophy teaches. You felt it in dreams, in synchronicities, in the quiet awe of existence, in the pull towards something more. This isn't the end of a video, it's the beginning of a journey. So take the next step. Read, reflect, reach inward. And remember, you are not just a seeker of truth. You are its living expression. Welcome to the path.